standing right there so we can sneak up to the blind. Alright, we're back at it today, guys. Here it is about maybe 2:15, the 20th, Friday the 20th. And this is the best weather we've had yet. About 28 degrees. We've got a north wind coming straight at us like this, blowing back this direction. It's a pretty good wind for this spot. We left these corn stalks up like this to help us get in and out of this, so hopefully we can get out of here clean. They don't have to move off very far to be able to get out of this blind and shoot straight back. We're looking for Rachel's buck. We got a doe walking right in front of us right here now. But anyway, we'll sit in here about 3 hours and see how it goes, but it appears they're gonna move pretty good. Alright guys, let's knock out the Ask Owen segment here for the chase video. We just got one little fawn out here in front of us, so talk kind of quiet, but here we go. Number 1, I'll read the comments too because it's kind of interesting. It says, thank you one for answering my question, Clay. No problem, Clay. I think you were the CIC. I asked who that was. I didn't know your name, but it's nice to meet you. Woodland Gangsta says, Owen's just an awesome guy to know. Well, I appreciate that. And I will concur. I do agree with you. Nah, you'll have to tell me who you are, Woodland Gangsta. I'm sure probably somebody I talk to all the time, you know. Mitchell says, great video, Owen. Thanks for answering my question. Very welcome, Mitchell. Okay, Roy Hirschberger. Owen, please explain how you exit your tree stands and blinds at dark when the deer are around. How do you get them to move off? What is your thoughts on somebody picking you up with a motorized vehicle? Well, Roy, I think the motorized vehicle is a great strategy. Actually, I've used that before. You know, especially if I'm uptight hunting a really big deer or something, I'll go all out. Have somebody come back in a vehicle or even a tractor or something that they hear a lot. Doesn't bother them. But to answer your question on what's my exit strategy is, the ones I hunt a lot, I have normally some kind of a ravine where that stand is sitting right on the edge of that ravine or a creek, and I just climb down, get right into the creek, and then walk that out. And sometimes I use them to walk in too if there's certain circumstances, if you're going in the morning or whatever. So that's normally how they are. There's a lot of variables. I have some stands that really good spots. Maybe you're only going to hunt them once or twice a year. In that case, you know, I'm not too worried about getting out if you're only hunting in there once a year. You know, maybe you'll do some damage, but you're not going to be back for a long time. So those type of stands I don't worry too much about. But all the ones that are my favorites, I usually have a mowed path to get in the daylight. You know, like this one right here. We got a mowed path right up to this. And then to get out, I left this corn standing right here. So all we got to do is get the deer far enough away to where we can get down the first 4 feet of the ladder. If we can get down that, they can't see us the rest of the way. So I do a lot of things like that, dude. Just try and, you know, use some screening cover, switchgrass, cedars, a lot of stuff like that to get in and out. Appreciate the question. The CIC is back. That's Clay. I got you this time, Clay. Owen, if you bump your target buck or he wins you, do you change your plan of attack for hunting him? Well, again, a lot of variables on that one, Clay. There's, you know, if he wins you or he spots you in the tree, there's a lot of different levels of that, let's call it. Let's say it's during the rut and he's chasing a doe and they go running by and he gets down and stops downwind, catches a little bit of you, maybe he looks your direction and then goes back about his business. I got this little doe perking up here. Anyway, so let's say he stops, maybe he looks your direction, he winded you real quick, but then he goes running back after the doe. Like in a scenario like that, I think you might kill that buck that same evening. Like he didn't pay any attention to it. He's after that doe. That's what he cares about. Now, if it's October 10th, he comes sneaking down the trail, you don't expect him to come from and he gets downwind, busts you, spots you in the tree, that's completely different. I mean, you might have messed that tree up for the season. Maybe not. Every deer's a little bit different, so every situation's different. But for me, if that happened to me in the middle of October, let's say, and I feel like, you're probably not going to kill him out of that tree, so I'm going to switch up. I'm not going to move areas, but I might switch stands, switch the way I enter and exit the area and all that. But you still got to hunt him where he's at, so I'm not going to give up on the area. But that's how I would handle that. Of course, there's more variables we could talk about, but we'll move on to the next one. Two Brothers Contracting writes, Owen, have you ever tried drilling corn, keeping the row spacing fairly wide, and planting clover in the off rows? I'm thinking of trying that this year. Again, there's a lot of variables to that, so here's what I would say about that. If you're going to do it in the spring, you're going to have some pretty fertile soil, like some good bottom ground. I'm talking like 80 CSR stuff. What I've done before and what I would do is exactly like you're saying. You can either leave your rows wide, or sometimes I would disable one row, so you got one row missing. But I would keep my corn sprayed clean, all spring and summer, and then come back in the fall with your brassicas, clover, the mix I use, monster buck mix that I make my own. Then I would come back in the fall, because now your corn's already made its crop. That's what you got to worry about. If you put your clover in the spring and you can't keep that sprayed, that's trying to grow a lot of stuff in a pretty small area, even though you're getting nitrogen from your clover. But it's also going to be highly, it's going to need a lot of potassium to grow both of those. Corn stalks use a lot of potassium. So anyway, that would be my recommendation is, I think that's a great idea. But I would keep it sprayed clean and then come back in the fall, late summer, early fall, and put your fall mix in. Versus doing clover in the spring, which it'd just be hard to grow that much in the spring and get that all to grow. Michael Sears asks, do you set every stand so you have an exit route? Mike from Virginia. Yeah, basically, I wouldn't say every single stand because I have a lot of stands, but there'll be some maybe in the middle of the farm that doesn't have an exit route to get in and out of, but for the most part, I've got a mowed trail, a creek, something like that. Now, when I get out in Kansas, I don't have any of that because I haven't been able to do the work. But when I set up, one of my farms or helping somebody else out, I try to set a great entry and exit for every stand site. That's where I start. All right. Dusty Bowhunter asks, do you turkey hunt in the spring? I don't turkey hunt. I'll go with my girlfriend and anybody else that wants to go turkey hunting. I'll go. I enjoy it. I like the calling aspect of it, but a turkey just doesn't really speak to me. It doesn't get me fired up like a big old buck does. So right now I don't turkey hunt, but I'm sure at some point I'll get into it, especially as I get toward retirement age. All right, Kyle Zimmerman asks or says, I got 6 acres of private ground, 4 acres tall grass, about 2 acres of timber. How much of the grass would you plant to food, if any at all? If so, what food are you planting? I know most folks hunt bigger tracts, but for those of us who have tiny tracts, we could use some Owen magic. Kyle, what I would do in that case is I would make a trail system that connects throughout your whole 6 acres. And the goal would be, if they're bedded on that 6 acres, they come to this trail system, which would also be my food. And then, I would probably plant clover on most of it. Figure, depending on how much sunlight you got without seeing it, I don't know. But, I don't think you could do corn, soybeans, because you just wouldn't have enough acreage depending on your deer density there. But I would just make a trail system that connects so they follow that. And then wherever you want food, you can just kind of make that trail a little bigger where you want to plot. Shape it however you want, hourglass shaped or something to make kind of a funnel, take advantage of. But that's what I would do on a small property like that. Have some food in there so it kind of keeps them moving around the property. But, I definitely wouldn't get rid of too much cover when you only have 6 acres. So, maybe you end up with an acre and a half of food and the rest is cover. So that's what I would try. Of course, if we looked at this on an aerial, of course, we could come up with a whole game plan. There's a lot of strategizing would go into where you want your trails and all that. But I'm sure you can figure all that out. If you need any help, let me know. Dustin Farr asked, is she using her dominant eyes? He means I was talking about my daughter was having trouble seeing through the scope on the gun. And Dustin, you are correct. She is left eye dominant, so I had her shoot right-handed. So we're going to switch her to left-handed shooting. Actually, I'd like to ask you guys, because I've never shot left-handed. Obviously, I'm right eye dominant, but what's your recommendation for the lefties out there? Just buy a left-handed gun, or have her shoot a right-handed gun left-handed? Which I know you can do, but I think the stock's cut a little different if I remember right. But anyway, I'd be interested to see what you guys think on that. Alright, and we got one more comment that I see has been deleted. Actually, I remember it from earlier. It's from Timmy Tim, and Timmy Tim asks, do you ever get sick of hunting out of redneck blinds over food plots? And, obviously, Timmy Tim, you and I, we've interacted a little bit, on YouTube before in the comments section. And I know why you're asking that, just like everybody else. Trying to throw shade at our hunting style here. But, I could sit here and get all defensive and be like, do you have any idea how many deer I've spotted and stalked? Or, I used to hunt cattail swamps back in Michigan, or still hunted a lot, but you know what? None of that stuff even matters. Who cares? The fact that we should be able to sit out here and hunt any way that's legal that we enjoy, without you guys getting all your panties in a wad about it. Here's the thing, if I'm watching deer anymore, that's very enjoyable to me. So setting up something like this, where you do the work and then you see them utilize it, that's rewarding to me. To sit out here and just watch deer is rewarding. I don't think I'll ever get old enough to where that's not fun to me. And I do agree, hunting out of a blind is not as fun to watch, as it is to do it, or as fun as watching somebody hunt out of a tree stand, or, spot and stalk, whatever. So I don't disagree with that standpoint, but at the same time, we should all be able to hunt however's legal, however we enjoy, and, we should all let each other hunt like that and root for each other to be successful. I feel like once you start changing your mindset, rooting for the other guy to be successful, things just start to fall in line in life. Anyway, that's it for the questions on the Ask Owen segment. Fun once again, and if we have questions next week, we'll do it again. And if we don't, we'll get back to the stand breakdowns. Well, made her back to the house here. We had a little trouble getting out with a couple does in front of the blind there, but anyway, it was a great hunt, just like we thought it would go down. They started moving early. As soon as we got there, we had deer in front of us, and the rest of the evening we had deer out there. I think we seen 8 or 10 bucks and at least that many does, and it was just a great night, but you can't make a shooter walk. We only had one shooter in that area, and he wasn't there tonight, so I think it was a high odds hunt, no doubt, but not the right spot. I bet he was on his feet, though. Well, we'll be back out. I don't think we've got any more shotgun tags to fill, so I think it's going to be late seasons when we'll be back, which starts Monday. We'll see you guys then. All right, guys, it's been a good minute since I shot the old AX2 here. This is my bow from November or maybe October 30th up till now. So at any rate, I'm all bundled up for late season. I'm going to shoot a field here with all the clothes on that I've got. Make sure I can shoot like this. Holy smokes, I don't know if I can move. Bam! Let's go grab it and then we're going hunting, guys. Turkeys, I'm telling you. That scrape's got a little history to it there. That's where Crab's buck was standing right there, making that scrape. Well, not that particular scrape, but that year. Well, you guys remember this spot? This is where we had the awesome decoy hunts last year. Killed a decoy buck right here out of this tree. Awesome spot, one of my favorites. You know, I was looking at that monster buck when we were walking down in, and it looks like they started hammering that pretty hard. You can see some of those purple top turnips have been mowed off, they've been hitting. So I thought about switching up and setting up in the walnut. This sets up better for death row and the corn probably. That sets up better for greens and beans, but you know, the idea is to get them walking back and forth. So it's supposed to be west-northwest, which would be like that, and the northwest is like this. So that's what we're hoping for, northwest. It's not very often they go on that side of the ditch right here, so we don't get winded here hardly ever, but I suppose it's possible. Beautiful afternoon, you know, first day after second gun here. I'll bet we'll see some deer. I don't think we'll see that enforcer today. I just don't have the feeling the day after shotgun. You know, it's not real cold. If it was cold and snowy, I'd say yeah, but you never know. Maybe we'll lay eyes on him. We're giving ourselves a chance. That's what I always say. That's the brow buck, I think. No, it ain't either. Well, here it is about 4:30, halfway through our hunt. I just said in the intro, I said they don't use this side of the ditch very often, so we hardly ever get downwind of us. And here comes 3 bucks in here. It must have been bedding in that grass. But anyway, they had moved off back that direction. Still haven't seen a single deer in the crab's plot, which is surprising. But with an hour and a half left to go, still have high hopes, low expectations. Looks like it, ain't it? bone white rack. Boy, that worked perfect. I was just saying, I thought we'd see that buck. Remember? Yeah.
He did a good jump too.
Yeah, he did. I think we did good letting him go. You guys remember that 8 that was in the buck fight last year right here? That's that buck right there. I shot the other one, the decoy buck. You guys remember that, but I think that deer's going to be a stud. He's 5 years old now, as far as I know. We've been trying to keep track of him, so beautiful buck, but be interesting to see what he looks like next year. That's what's exciting about right now. You got one. All right, hang on. Devin thinks he sees another. Yeah, it's that tall 9. Another big buck down there, that tall 9. It's awesome. We're filming them all tonight. Send him. See if we can see what he's eating. That's that monster buck plot right there. He's just hammering that. I like to see specifically what he's actually eating, if it's one thing or all of it.
Deer's big, man.
Oh, yeah. Who's the boss right here? He don't want any part of him, does he? Does he? No. Looks like he's turning it in this way. We gotta get rid of these bucks anyway if we don't see our shooter. Second here. There we go. complain about this hunt. You took up the wrong hobby. Both big boys. It is dead quiet right now. Quiet. Always say stagnant deer movement, but they're moving all right. Well, it was pretty darn fun to get back at it. We had a darn good hunt. We seen, we see $5, I think, $6. These two right here are both beauties. That 8, he was the one from the buck fight, like I mentioned earlier. He's a big, solid buck. He's probably 150-inch 8. Then that 9, he might be bigger than that. Solid bucks, but like I said, if it's not the enforcer, it was a fun set. We're going to take 2 days off, Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then we'll be back the following day. And then we're going to hit it hard after this enforcer buck. We're not letting him slip through our fingers. We're going to get him. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do, guys. You're going to call me crazy. I'm going to get down 5 minutes early. I'd rather get out of here clean than sit in here until dark and bump that enforcer buck. So I'm just going to scurry the heck out of here real quick. If I can get Devin on board. Ready, set, go.